Welcome to the Franchise Frontier, the podcast where we explore the evolving franchise landscape, dive into latest industry trends, and share actionable tools and tactics to help you build and grow your business.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Franchise Frontier podcast. Today's exciting show. Today we have Nels Peterson, Vice President of Blingle Premier Lighting. Nels is an award-winning landscape lighting designer with over 35 years in experience in the lighting space. So Nels, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
I'm excited about today's show. As we talk about yourself, right? Just give us a little overview of just your story, your origin, your story, your professional background.
Well, I was in banking a long time ago, and the bank decided that they weren't going to have us anymore. They let go about 2,000 people, and I needed a job, and I loved lighting, and a friend of mine worked for a lighting studio. And on my very first day, I had a customer come in and say, you know, I would buy this landscape lighting stuff if I could find somebody to install it. And I knew nothing about it, but I told her I was a professional installer, and I went out and installed the project. She called my bluff, but she gave me an opportunity, and it turned into a thriving business. I did a great job for her. I learned a lot, and she referred me to just about everybody in the community I was in, and that's what jump-started my business. And then I worked for high-end, mostly residential electrical companies as a lighting designer, both interior but specifically exterior. I've done that, and then I also have been a brand representative for one of our trusted manufacturers. But when I had the opportunity to come here and help our franchise grow and become really successful, I couldn't pass up the opportunity. So that's why I'm here now.
I think that your exposure to all aspects of lighting really helped the franchise brand as far as knowing from stage A to stage Z as far as landscape lighting. I know you bring incredible value when it comes to that. When you look at landscape lighting and being in it for over 35 years, talk a little bit about what you think, how the industry has changed a little bit,
Sure.
would be the first part. And then secondly, kind of the state of the industry now.
Yeah, well, the industry started out almost back in the 50s with Frank Nightingale. He created a company called Kim Lighting, and it was very archaic and mostly garden lighting, lights that were designed to illuminate a large space, an outdoor garden, lighting up trees. And he started it right in about, I'd say, the late 70s, early 80s. A company called Kichler started really creating landscape lighting fixtures for the retail market, for the leader for a long time. And those fixtures had incandescent bulbs that burned out, basically small tubes with bulbs in them or sticks with little hats on them for path lights. It was very rudimentary, but it started a craze. It was do-it-yourselfers. Then it became professional contractors. Kichler and Hadco, a couple of the other manufacturers, started pushing to train and professionally create products not only for professionals, but for higher end homes. And then it just took off. Everybody wanted landscape lighting. So you'll find that most of the major lighting manufacturers got involved one way or the other. And then, of course, there were companies that did really high end, specialty lighting. And there were companies that just created, well, stuff for big box stores. So the industry has changed with the advent of LED lighting. The bulbs burning out, overheating, fire hazards, having to have a large infrastructure to power everything. Most of that stuff has sort of gone away because the LED uses so little energy and is so sustainable that now the systems are less gimmicky, should we say? More, they're more substantial and sustainable. And it's the industry is just growing exponentially every year. There are very few places that I've been to, I've been everywhere in the country, where landscape lighting isn't popular.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. I think, and even with my time as being part of the brand as well, I think there is probably a ton of aspect of landscape lighting that people really just have no idea about. Not that they don't want to know any idea, but again, if you get into the weeds as far as we talk about, there's an extensive book by, is it Janet Moyer?
Janet Moyer, yes.
The Landscape Lighting Bible, basically, is what it really is. Around those type of people and people like yourself, when you talk about the ILI organization, AOLP, those type of things, you really find that it's a niche business, but at the same time, there's a lot of design and there's a lot of sexy behind it. There's a lot of really great things that lend to landscape lighting and landscape lighting design. So when you talk about the change in the bulb and the change in the system, I think that probably people that are maybe interested in landscape lighting or maybe even interested in a Blingle franchise, tell them the importance of understanding the difference between, say, line voltage and low voltage.
Sure. Well, line voltage requires a licensed electrician. It's dangerous. It has to be installed very carefully. It has the infrastructure, the power distribution, all of that costs a lot more. And with gardens that are ever changing, landscape lighting is more flexible. You can move a fixture easily. You can bury the line underneath in a small amount of dirt. The installation process is a lot simpler. And as you mentioned, the advent between where we used to be, where we had little incandescent bulbs, basically bulbs that went into a vehicle, automotive lamps, to where we are now. The new thing is to have a fully integrated fixture. The fixture doesn't even have a lamp. It has a diode. And those diodes, we can control the beam spread, the intensity. We can use devices to brighten them, control them, and then, of course, change color. And it's something that should last 10 plus years once installed. And, of course, those diodes are easily replaceable. But we are managing heat better than we've ever managed before. So the fixtures are lasting a really long time compared to where we were just 5 years ago.
And to that point, do you find that when you talk about landscape lighting in general, and this is a loaded question because obviously I know the answer already, but I'm interested to see your insight on it. The majority of people understand landscape lighting to be path lighting. That's as you and I know, and you well more than I, when you talk about the uplighting, the downlighting, the different things you can do, when you're talking to Blingle franchisees or even people in the space, how do you get them integrated into understanding that really the sky is the limit when it comes to how you can light something or how something can be lit?
Well, I mean, the training program that we take everyone through when they come on board with Blingle is our own proprietary sales system, which really teaches people to find out what the customers want, what excites them, and really creating a lighting design, not just a quotation. And the only way you can really learn how to do this is to, one, have somebody show you. A hands-on experience. Everyone at Blingle gets a hands-on. We go out, we meet with a customer, we walk them through the project and we design it, and we come back at night and make adjustments. And it's that last part, working with a customer specifically, adjusting the system to meet their expectations and creating just something that's visually just so impactful. I mean, it changes the way people use their outdoor spaces. And that can only be done with a night visit. You have to go out and adjust. Our franchisees do that. And that's what sets us apart from the competition. And also that relationship that's quickly built with the client leads to a much better project than the people that just show up in a truck and put in a few lights and they're down the road. This is also a reoccurring revenue stream for a franchisee because all landscape lighting requires systems and adjustments as the landscape matures. So this is a longer relationship. And of course, it provides ongoing revenue throughout many years of taking care of that customer.
And do you believe that landscape lighting and the night, you go back to the night adjustment reference and the customer relationship, I would imagine that there's the expectation of the client and then there's the reality of what it does. And it promotes a feeling like no other. I've been on many outdoor and nighttime adjustments with you, and it's almost like a wedding. Everybody always says at a wedding, when the song plays, everyone looks at the bride. But what you should really do is look at the groom, right? If you were going to film the groom, film the video of the groom while you're looking at. I think the same thing goes for a nighttime adjustment. When it's amazing when you turn on a landscape lighting system that's been designed. And if you could take yourself away from how looking at the house and look at the groom, AKA the client, it just changes. It makes a feeling. It has a feeling. And I think that in that space that we're talking about, would you agree that people have an idea of what they think is going to happen to their home, and then the reality is far superior to what they imagine?
I would say that's usually the case, especially if they're brand new to landscape lighting, they haven't had a system installed before. It transforms how they feel emotionally about their backyard. Because what we're really doing is we're creating a focal point. We're illuminating dark areas that may have felt spooky before. And we're creating, most importantly, what I call a sense of enclosure. So this large, huge outdoor space now becomes more intimate, and people will linger there longer. They're more likely to relax and enjoy the space like they haven't before. We're really creating an outdoor room by lighting the envelope around it with illumination.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's very impactful, very impactful. So I know the most common question, and so I'll touch on it with you and kind of see your response to it a little bit. And I would imagine this probably is where the understanding of landscape lighting is the differentiator between commercial grade and a real landscape designer and someone who goes and buys a fixture. Everybody wants to say, I can go buy this at Home Depot or a Lowe's or whatever, and I can put them in myself. Tell the audience the biggest differences and the differentiator between what Blingle and landscape lighting designers are providing as far as fixtures and output and et cetera, compared to I can go buy a 4-pack for $10 solar light.
Sure.
Yeah.
All of the products that are out there in the market, whether they're wired up to a transformer, meaning wires are ran throughout the yard to power them, or they are solar powered, those products are designed for one thing, to meet a price point. The stores such as Lowe's or Home Depot will say, you cannot make a path light that costs more than $7. And the manufacturer strives to meet that price point. The products that we use, one, they are all professional grade. These are specification grade fixtures that could go on a commercial project or a residential project. They are made to a specification of sustainability. Everything we have is really designed to last the lifetime of your home, so it doesn't become a novelty like the stuff you're referencing, the solar lights and the things you buy at home improvement stores. It's really a battle that we face every day because consumers are confused. But all it does is to ask them just to walk down the street to a neighbor's house, and there's always one in the street that's put this stuff in, and ask them, would you be proud to have that in your yard? And the answer is almost always no. This is not a novelty anymore. This is a professional product that increases the value of your home and the livability of it. And you'll never get that from big box store cheap fixtures that are sold by the dozen. And the do-it-yourself market is really popular with this. And that's what we're talking about. But our consumers are the ones that want it done right. And they don't want to have to go out and move path lights every spring and re-straighten things and fix things all the time. These are people that are looking for a solution, and we provide it for them. And of course, we also, not just landscape lighting, but in permanent lighting and holiday lighting. Professional Christmas light holiday and installations make a huge difference when the wires are cut to the exact necessary lengths. Under eave lighting, also known as permanent lighting, I mean, it completely transforms the house. And that is not a job for do-it-yourselfers. Yeah, anybody can hang Christmas lights, but when it comes to custom cutting and installing and creating a system, it's so much easier and safer to have a professional do it. Someone at Blingle can come out and help you with all three of those things.
I would agree. I also would agree that if you are in the lighting space and you've held a big box store fixture versus a Blingle fixture or a fixture by some of our trusted vendor partners, there's a significance. It's the same thing with some, there's watches are the same way, cars are the same way. You know, you can just tell the difference, whether it be the smell, the feel, the touch. There's a difference in the type of fixtures that Blingle franchisees are using.
Yeah, and it's really important it's important everywhere, because in Florida and in Arizona, you've got so many minerals it used to be a seabed. You have so many minerals in the soil that eat and deteriorate fixtures. If the fixture isn't sound, if it isn't made out of a real metal, it disintegrates. The same thing in Florida. The salt just kills the fixtures. And that's what we find with the big box store fixtures. They don't hold up in those environments. Then you get up to Minnesota, where I'm originally from. Those fixtures expand and contract every night, especially in the winter. They get really hot. Even though it's LED, they still get quite warm, and they expand and they contract. Well, that also too breaks apart fixtures. The fixtures we use typically, there are a few exceptions, are made out of solid brass in almost every case. And not only does that heat sink pull the heat out of the fixture, but it becomes almost impervious to weather. And if you want something that's going to last, you really have to go to a professional grade product for your installation. And otherwise, you're just wasting your money.
Yeah, and I would agree that there's probably there's another avenue there that I think Blingle franchisees probably attest to, and that's the maintenance portion of the parts of your business. So that way that they're able to then be able to go out and adjust a fixture, realign a fixture, because we know that the biggest culprit to hurting landscape lighting is a landscaper in general. So I think going on to the next portions of the business, because again, this is another thing that I think is very interesting about Blingle, is the three aspects of lighting and premier lighting, right? So when you talk about, there's the new fad, and I don't even say it's a fad because I think it's here to stay, is the permanent lighting, the track lighting that's very well hidden underneath the eaves of the house, but it lends itself to a more tech savvy customer who wants to be able to do things on their phone and do those kind of things. And so in the time that you've been, I know that because you've probably seen it start from its inception. So how have you seen the permanent lighting world kind of advance, high level of what people are kind of using it for and how they're interested in it as of now?
Well, what it started out was really for commercial applications where they didn't want to have to put up holiday lighting all the time. The LED technology, of course, allowed it to be done efficiently in long runs. For example, a car dealership's roof line. That's how it all started, something to attract the people to the business. And about 5 years ago, we came up with a way to make those lights actually dance and move and change color, brighten and dim, change to your favorite sports team. And now it became not just an attraction light for commercial, but people want it at their home, not only to celebrate the holidays, the seasonal holidays, but their favorite sports teams, kids' parties, birthdays. It became something they could use year round. And that's why it's taken off. I think it was a fad, but now it's becoming very commonplace. And once again, it changes how people feel. I mean, imagine your wife coming home on your anniversary and you've lit the house in her favorite colors.
Right.
It completely changes the mood, when she gets there, or your kid's birthday, or your favorite sports team. They're going into the playoffs, and everyone in the neighborhood knows how big of a fan you are. I mean, Kansas City Chiefs, right?
Right.
So, and at a push of a button on a phone, you can create that. And in the near future, and I can't even tell you some of the things I know, some of the advancements of connecting with Major League Baseball and football and hockey, you'll actually be able to interact as a fan. The lights will actually change colors as the game changes, the score changes, or the plays, or the touchdowns, it's going to be incredible. You're going to be able to see the lights will actually change just like they do at your favorite sports stadium.
That's interesting. I know that, even when it comes to lead generation and all the other things involved in the business, the world is changing. What I mean by that is there used to be a time where if you were A1 landscape company, your name was first on the list in the phone book. Well, now it's really about your SEO and whatnot. And I think there's Amazon Alexa, and there's all those type of things. And I think that landscape lighting and then now permanent lighting lends itself to that. When it comes to the permanent lighting, that's more the client wants to be able to change it on their phone, change it for different holidays, and do all those kind of things while accenting their home and still being a great place to outdoor space. Now, one thing I would like to talk to you about a little bit is, have you found it easy or sometimes a little bit difficult to integrate a landscape lighting design with a permanent lighting design? What I mean is if you have, there's some landscaping away from the home, but at the same time, they want the ability to landscape. And I don't mean integrate, like change the colors all the same, but just find a way to be able to provide two different styles of lighting, but at the same time for one picturesque view.
Well, one of the products that we use at Blingle, very professional grade, allows us to brighten and dim each of the little lights under the eaves. We can brighten and dim them, and we can change the color to match the exact, we call it Kelvin temperature, the same warmth as the landscape lighting. So now all of a sudden the entire house is softly illuminated, and the elements such as a deciduous tree or a potted plant or a walkway, a border walkway along that, we can incorporate the landscape lights. And what we do is we actually, instead of having a house that has all these strong accents, now the house is just a soft hush of light all the way across the front, all the way around the entire property. And that's because it's in unison with the landscape lights. And that's the fun thing about it. And then the best part is these people are so in love with their lighting. At Christmas time, they might want to use their permanent lighting for Christmas or for any other holiday, but they want to add lights to their trees. So now guess what? We can come in and add those seasonal touches, the wreaths, the garland, and then lighting up their favorite trees. And now they've got all three of our products. They're all interacting, and we've got a customer for life.
Yeah. I mean, fantastic segue. I was just going to touch on holiday lighting. I know that holiday lighting is an incredible, fast-paced business. I know that there's a lot of different types of companies that are getting into the holiday light space. I know that it is crazy amount of time because there's a short amount of window to get things installed. But I also know, to your point that we were talking about all three of these phases, it's about the feeling that it gives people. People are buying bigger homes. People don't have time to get up on the roof and do those things. And Blingle obviously provides the ability to have a great holiday lighting design as well, bring parts of their permanent lights and then add to it with foliage or those type of things, or do a full Christmas spread and be able to decorate the yard and that type of thing. And so do you feel, when you think about the business, that people are not surprised, but they're happily surprised that Blingle provides all three of these sections of business?
Oh, yeah. I mean, once they understand And once we show them what's possible, yeah, they're extremely excited. And I think they become more, each line that maybe they start with landscape lighting, they go to permanent lighting, they become more and more receptive because they see how they're all related. And with holiday lighting, I said, the best way to ruin Christmas is to have dad or mom fall off the roof. And the construction that's taking place, I mean, maybe not in a place like Florida where the roofs are flat, but you go out to Colorado or northern Minnesota or Maine or wherever our franchises are, you can't walk on those roofs. We use lifts, special shoes, special climbing equipment. It's not safe for a homeowner to tackle those types of projects. But when they are tackled by professionals, they'll have the look that'll be the award-winning thing of the neighborhood. You combine that with some beautiful accent lighting with the actual holiday, the small lamps on a wreath or something, or Christmas lights, and then you have the permanent lighting changing color, making the house just come alive. And then you have a little bit of landscape in to fill in the gaps. You'll have the showcase property of the neighborhood. And that's what people want more and more and more. It's not a fad. They're starting to demand this look. Pinterest is a huge pusher. I mean, you look at homes on there, they're incredible. The best ones always incorporate those three things.
That's great. Now, I know that when you talk about sales process and you talk about what people want in the sales process, I'm sure you've seen that evolve tremendously in your time in the space. I know that Blingle also has the ability, kind of high level, to be able to show a client some sort of a landscape project, right? And I know it does not carry as much weight as a nighttime reveal, but at the same time, in that sales process, I know for holiday lighting and some landscape lighting, you are able to show a kind of rudimentary design where they can move some things around, but definitely brings the customer experience into play makes it feel very interactive.
Yeah, we actually in a brand new version just came out where you can actually drag little emblems or little pictures of fixtures onto the property and immediately see the effects of the lighting that would be generated. A standard photo of a house is darkened and then it's reanimated with lighting. So the homeowner has a really clear idea of some of the effects that can be achieved for those people that need that extra visual input to make a decision. And then on top of that, we can add Christmas lights or holiday lights as well. We can do the exact same thing so that clients understand the possibilities before making a decision. So most major manufacturers do that. We have a special relationship with one of our partners that does an incredible job of it, and our franchisees are taught how to use it, and it's a huge selling tool.
Yeah, I think it definitely does a great job of giving an idea. I would tell everybody that's in the space that thinks about selling or buying off of that, there's still nothing better than when you get to see it live, when it actually happens live. So talk about if I'm a Blingle franchisee, talk about the support. Talk about your team. What type of support? I know you reach out tremendously and have great vendor partners. I know the vendor partners are excited to be a part of Blingle, but just talk about the support that you guys provide for a Blingle franchisee.
Well, as a national brand, we bring a lot of credibility. If you can look 5 years out from now, we will, I honestly believe, be the largest and best known home improvement brand in the lighting world. We will be the definitive holiday and landscape lighting franchise business. And we'll have a tremendous amount of leverage. That leverage we use to make sure that our vendors stay engaged with us. They want our business. We provide them with a lot of business. So they step up to the plate to provide that with us. Our team here, we have a whole team of marketing professionals that do the thinking for you. Now, you've still got to do out your own marketing, but we have people that understand Google business pages and understand search engine optimization. You don't have to go out and hire somebody to do that. We have that here. With me, yeah, I'm a really important part of Blingle. I bring my expertise, but my expertise comes from a whole host of people that have helped me throughout the years, and I help our franchisees make those introductions. So through me, you get to meet all these other people. I don't know that you'd have that opportunity elsewhere. And then, of course, as we're finding out now, after 2.5 years of successful operations, those franchisees now are reaching out to each other and supporting each other. Hey, have you done this? Have you seen this? How do I do this? They're not calling me anymore. They're calling each other. And that in itself, being part of a team like that, the value is immeasurable. I mean, you don't get that when you're on your own. Now you've got it. And plus, we have an accounting department here. Our brand president's got years of business experience. All these things you'd normally have to pay for, you don't, because we have them.
I believe also that, to your point, partnership with horsepower, you have the vendor partnerships, etc. But I also think that the team that is created through franchising, it lends itself to a lot of areas of expertise. What I mean by that is, certain home types in Raleigh, North Carolina are different than home types in Arizona. So when they come across something that catches them off guard, to your point, they're able to call on other people within the franchise system and say, has anybody seen anything like this? And 9 times out of 10, whether it be a brand team or somebody who is on the franchise side, will have an answer for that. Where I think that there's strength in that. If you're an independently, if you're just running your business by yourself and you don't have any teammates per se, that's a very difficult thing to overcome.
It is. And consumers are becoming more knowledgeable because of what they see online. So they have more, sometimes unrealistic, but they have more needs that they come up with ideas of what they want lit or illuminated or looks they want. And it's a quick phone call to 3 other franchisees to find out, hey, have you seen this? Or is it something, or they can call me as well. But often enough, they get it right from somebody else. But it's also that camaraderie of, hey, how are you doing? Are you going to make it this week? Are you going to make your sales goals? That little bit of camaraderie is essential in building a business. And it's hard to, somebody that did it on their own for many years, I wish I would have had something like Blingle, because I think it would have made a big difference in my business back then. I really do.
I believe whether you are minimally successful or ultra successful, there's still stress. When you become ultra successful and you have 5 trucks instead of 2 trucks, the bills just get more expensive.
Yep.
So there's always going to be that stress. And that's what being an entrepreneur and a business owner is. So Nels, when you look into the future of Blingle, what are you most excited about the future of the brand?
I think what I'm most excited about is we'll have a franchisee in just about every major market in the United States. So the brother-in-law that used to live in Arizona that's moving up to the Bay Area and wants lighting, we can have that customer stays within the Blingle family. Hey, I know the guy up in the Tampa Bay area, or I know the guy out in San Francisco. Give them a call; they'll take really good care of you. And that's part of the Howie thing too, which we have here at Blingle. All of the other brands, our blinds, our roofing, Stand Strong Fencing, our HVAC, all those people are going to become additional resources for you to reach out to. And pretty soon, we're a one-call solution for almost all a homeowner's needs, at least in the brands we have. I mean, we're going to become a real powerhouse. And that's what customers want. They want to make one call. They want to work through a network that's trusted, that they can believe in, and that, hey, you know what? I didn't use them for my HVAC, but I used them for my landscape lighting. They showed up on time. They're national brand. They'd got great products, and they were respectful of me. All of those things led to credibility. Most importantly, when it does come time to sell your business, when you're ready to retire, it's worth more because you've chosen to partner with a national brand like Blingle.
It's a great perspective. I think that will go a long way with our audience. This is going to be probably the most interesting question of them all, because this has a little bit to do with you and then how you've evolved. Talk first, when you first got into lighting. I know you talked about how you got in. When you first got into lighting, what was your why? Why did you stay in it? What was your why? What about it made you love to do it for your family, or however that started?
When I was a kid, I grew up on a farm. I didn't work as hard as most farm kids, but we still, we'd be out baling hay until dark. And I wanted to play golf. And I built a miniature golf course in my backyard. And I put small lamps and little Christmas lights in soup cans and strung them out over the backyard so I could actually go out and play golf. So I fell in love with it right away. And I was always looking for that creative outlet. And when that very first job I was referenced to, this wonderful entrepreneurial woman that had me do her landscape lighting, first job I ever did, a long time ago. And she came out with a glass of wine for me and a glass of wine for herself. And we sat on her patio and she just glowed. She was so pleased. I changed the way she felt about her property. That's really addictive. And when you can go out literally 99+% of the time and have that positive reaction with your customer, I mean, it's fun. These people are so excited to see that. Neighbors are coming over. Hey, can you do it to our house? I mean, and I'm not exaggerating. That happens all the time. And it's because everyone, even people that don't live on that property, have an emotional response to it. That's what hooked me. That's what hooked me. And whether it's interior or exterior, but there's something special about the exterior, and it's an expression of yourself more so than even your landscape. I mean, it's an addictive thing. And that's why Blingle is going to be so successful, is because we get you hooked on landscape lighting, then you want permanent lighting, and then you still want us to come back and do that extra touch during the holidays. It's I don't want to use the word magical, but that's what it is. I mean,
I would agree. I think there is something to be said for people understanding now at all different price points as well, right? That's important too. At all different price points, there's a way to exude your personality in your yard. Maybe that used to be just cutting grass or landscape, but now there's also a way to highlight those things to say, not only am I very proud of my grass or my landscape or these trees or these flowers, but now everybody else on the street can enjoy it. Anybody that's ever been competitive, you can't have the only house on the street. You can't have the dark house on the street. You and I have been at a project in Texas where it was an amazing property, but if you looked around, you didn't notice it when you first drove up. The area felt like it was very normal. Once our Blingle franchisee was able to highlight this home, it definitely stood the house out compared to the rest of the house on the street. And then all of a sudden you realize how dark the rest of the street was. So I think that's incredible. My next question now is, now that you've been in it, award winning, you've done a lot of things, and now you're the vice president of Blingle, how has your why changed as far as when you help franchisees to then experience what your original why was?
Well, I don't know that it has. I love doing lighting because it affects me emotionally. I love it. But I think it's transitioned to, when I joined Blingle, I wasn't sure why I did. I mostly did it so that my own company, my own landscape lighting company, my employees could take it over and run the ship. I owed it to them. They worked so hard for me. And then you meet the franchisees and you become addicted to them, helping them, because it's such a huge reward. I mean, to have people, give you a hug because you helped them launch a business, that's my new reward. I get to do what I love, but I also get to help people with it. And that's why I'm here. I mean, I genuinely, everybody at Horsepower is like that. The people that are here are, they want to reach out and help franchise become successful. And that's their reward.
Well, Nels, I appreciate your time.
Thanks.
I appreciate you coming on the
Thanks for having
show.
me.
Thank you guys so much for listening to the Franchise Frontier podcast. We're excited about the future of Blingle. We're excited about where things are going and excited about you and your team. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave.